Hi guys, this is Yasmin again from Clermont City Guide. Here we are again at the historic village in downtown Clermont. Today we're lucky to have Miss Donna again. Miss Donna, thank you for having us, and please tell us what building we're looking at today.
Okay, today we're going to walk through the Kern House. The Kern House is our oldest structure and our grandest structure. We come up here on the porch to get out of the sun.
Let's do that. Get the amapola.
This building
You hear the
was
birds?
built here by Alexander Kern in 1883. Yeah, you heard that right.
You heard that?
1883.
Oh,
So this is a very old structure, and for the most part, you are going to walk on original floorboards in this building. It is a very, very grand home. The Kerns moved here from the southern part of New Jersey, and Mr. Kern wanted to come down here and try to be an entrepreneur, and he was very successful. But Mrs. Kern did not want to come. She was not at all happy. And folks, back in 1883, this part of Florida was not known as Lake County. All right? Picture the scene. Hi, honey. We're going to move. Oh, where are we going? Oh, we're going to move to Florida. Where in Florida? Mosquito County. Now, doesn't that just make you want to come and live here?
Oh, yeah.
Mosquito County? Now, the mosquitoes in New Jersey are notorious. So she knew what a mosquito is like. She was not happy. She was very, very homesick. So Alexander built her a New Jersey house. And you may hear it slightly in my voice. I was raised in New Jersey. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a New Jersey house. If you put in plumbing and electricity, I have friends who live in very similar homes to this day. So we will go into the grandest house we have here at the village.
right after you.
You see here
There she
a
is.
very formal living room.
Oh, it smells good in here too.
And that is probably quite accurate. There are a couple of things I'll point out to you. This is called a fainting couch. And when the heat would get too much for a lady who was in her corsets, and I'll show you a corset when we hit the bedrooms, she could faint onto the couch because she couldn't get good air coming in. And that happened a lot, right? But one thing I really do want to point out to you is that right there. That is our oldest item in the entire village. It is a clock that was made in the 1700s, and this is what the insides of that clock look like. There's almost no metal. There's a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit there. Even the cogs inside are made out of apple wood. This clock was built right after the Revolutionary War. And all through the Revolutionary War, the British boycotted us getting metal, because if we got metal, we could make weapons. And so even after the war, there was a great shortage of metal in the United States. And so this gentleman built this clock totally out of apple wood. And to tell you how old it is, two people that were friends of this gentleman, you'll know their name. Paul Revere and Benjamin Franklin. And he is the man who came up with the idea of painting on the inside of glass. And so he actually painted that picture. And then this is a pot-bellied stove, but it's a unique stove. This is actually a charcoal stove. I know we're used to seeing large pot-bellied stoves, and we're used to seeing people put wood in them, but there would be a bucket of charcoal, and you would feed charcoal in there. And this was the heat source for the vast majority of the house. You see this pipe going into the building? You notice it's not going up.
True.
It's going in. We'll see bump outs in other places, and I'll point them out to you in other rooms.
Another one, guys.
And now we're going to go into the formal dining room. In here, a couple of things again that I would like to point out for you. Excuse me. The door right there by Yasmin is a closet. But if we were up north in New Jersey, that would be the door to the basement stairs. Sorry. All right, she's good.
Thank you, guys. Hey, thank you for coming.
As you can see, we're open and people are going through buildings.
There you go,
Over
guys.
here, the two people are the Kerns. So you can see they're very formal people. Very, very much products of their time. Mrs. Kern was very active in the Women's Christian Temperance League. That's the group that lobbied for and eventually got prohibition. And I would like to point out one of our most unique donations.
Oh, this is beautiful.
This is a kerosene chandelier. You would fill the globes with flammable liquid. No, you would fill, sorry, wrong. You would fill the pot with flammable liquid. Then wicks would come out the slits in here, and you could take the top off of here, light it, and light up. And that was the source of light in the evening in this room. That's what this would be used for. This was not in the house with the Kerns, but this is what it would be used for. We do have one item upstairs that is directly related to the Kern family. Because this is a New Jersey house, it has a
We're going
full
too fast.
indoor kitchen. A lot of homes in Florida did not have full indoor kitchens because it's too hot to cook inside on a wood-burning stove in Florida for a large part of the year. But Mrs. Kern was from New Jersey and she wanted her New Jersey house. So this house has a full stove. Here you will see another heat source for the house. And you will see this pipe does go straight up. And we'll see a vent for this upstairs in the room directly above here. This was the source of heat for this room, but also for a bedroom upstairs. Some things I'd like to point out to you. This beautiful Hoosier cupboard. This is the only counter space in this kitchen. And that is not uncommon in old kitchens. The Hoosier was famous because the shelf here, and I'm not going to do it, pulls out so you can get more shelf space. Some of the early ones even had a setup where you could have flour inside and a vent down there that would let your flour out. It was a very, very useful cabinet and very common all through the United States. Another unique item is kerosene again, an actual kerosene stove. This right here held the kerosene, and it has a glass front that lets you see how much kerosene you have. And if you want to cook one item, you just cook on the first burner. If you want to cook two, it's the first and second, or the third. So they actually had 3 burners. This is a very unique stove. I've never seen one anyplace but in this house. This is a kitchen sink. The Kerns were 2 of the first people in Clermont to have indoor plumbing. That was a big deal. Mr. Kern discovered that in their backyard there was high water pressure. He built a little water tower in their backyard, ran pipes to the house, and you could pump, and this is how they would do it. You could pump and you could get running water in your house. This was a big deal. His neighbors were jealous. They said, "How'd you do that? Can we do that?" And he said, "Sure. For a fee, I'll connect you, and you pay me every month, and there'll be a fee for using the water." And so technically, he had the very first water company in town. And when he passed away, Mrs. Kern said, "You keep paying. I'm the water company now." So she was a business. She was, again, like Mrs. Hooks, she was an assertive woman. And of course, we have an ice box. There was actually an ice house in Clermont, not far from where we are right now. They would take and cut ice blocks up north, and they would pack it on trains. And they would pack it either in sawdust or hay or even newspaper. And they would send it on the train down to Florida. And then the ice house would take it and bury it, literally bury it in the ground. And then you could buy chunks of ice. And you would put the ice up top where there is a slanted shelf, so that as the ice melted, the cold water ran down and you caught it in a pan at the bottom. And for a very long time, even after refrigerators came along and they were electrified, there were drip pans at the bottom of all refrigerators. And you had to remember to empty that, or else you'd have a flood in the kitchen.
Miss Donna,
And these are lined with metal to keep the cold in.
You want to tell us what this? I know what this is.
That's an ice cream maker.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a butter churn. Every year in November, we actually churn butter in this kitchen, and this year we'll be doing that on November 18th. There'll be 2 ladies in here taking turns, because that's hard. You have to do it for hours. And we'll have fresh churned butter for you to sample. We'll have bread for you to put some butter on and have a taste of the butter.
Beautiful.
We do not know how this room was used by the Kerns. Except toward the end of her life, Mrs. Kern couldn't walk up the very steep stairs, so she moved her bedroom down here. But before that, we don't know its purpose. So we have set it up as a music room because in that time, everybody learned at least one musical instrument because that was their entertainment. They would stand around in the evening and play the piano and sing along and things like that. So we have set this up as a music room. And there are a lot of neat instruments. Again, all donations.
I'm in awe. As you can see, I'm not saying a word.
There is an auto harp, a mountain dulcimer.
Okay, wait a minute. So what this is?
A mountain dulcimer. You hold that on your lap and you play the strings. They're hard to see, but there are. There are strings.
How about this guy?
That is also a stringed instrument. And then we have a banjo, but that banjo doesn't have any strings on it. And we have a trumpet, but it doesn't have a mouthpiece and aperture.
An Edison. What? Look at
We
that.
have a very, very early Edison record, Victrola. Oh, it helps if you do it the right way.
Look at that.
This is a record. Even people my age say, no, a record is flat. Kids say, what's a record? But this is a record, and it has grooves on it. All right? And you put the record. We do have members who are brave enough to play this. I am not one of them. I'm terrified of damaging this, so I'm sorry.
Oh, I respect that.
I'm sorry, you will not hear it play.
Let's YouTube it, guys.
But you crank it up, and then the record spins. The record is right here, and the record spins, and this moves along. The needle stays put, but as the record spins, the needle moves its way down the record, and you get music. And the wonderful thing is, this comes off, this goes on, and you can take it over to your friend's house. It's the first portable boombox. Behind me is what's called a hammered dulcimer. That's a mountain dulcimer. This is a hammered dulcimer. And it's hammered because you hit it with hammers. You hold these two hammers and you can see I'm not a musician. But that is a hammered dulcimer. It is a beautiful sounding instrument. It really, truly is. Then, well, if everybody's in here doing music, what's going to happen with the kids? Well, we have a little wooden marimba for kids. We have a kaleidoscope. We have a viewfinder. Remember the red plastic ones when you were a kid? Well, this is a viewfinder.
You guys can see it.
And the picture that's on here right now is two pictures of the same couple, right? But when you look at it with both eyes through here, it is a 3D picture of them. Underwood and Underwood Publishers, New York, London, Toronto, Canada, Ottawa, and Kansas. And then the directions are in English and in French. Some of the pictures are of historical landmarks, like the pyramids. And there's actually instruction on the back. Remember, no television, no radio, obviously no computers. And so
no iPhones.
no phones of any kind. So these things could take you around the world. And so we have a number of them here. We have quite a few. Yeah, this is a historical one. It has quite a lot of written information on the back, as you can see. And it's actually a pretty awful looking scene of land that has been destroyed by war. No people, but land that has been destroyed by war. And then we have some children's toys. Here we have a violin, a wooden clarinet.
I'm sorry, Miss Donna, what is this right here?
That's a little heater, a little wood burning stove. And then of course, we have a beautiful organ.
Wow, look at that.
With its metronome. So we have really made this the music room.
I like it. Which is it probably makes sense.
Now,
Okay,
again,
Miss Donna.
every item in this room is a donation. The sofa's a donation. Every musical instrument, that beautiful light fixture, everything is a donation. Remember the pot-bellied stove? That's where the pipe goes. It comes in here and now it goes up, but it doesn't go up until it is in this room. So it's heating and the stove is heating the first floor, but their heat is also going upstairs. And you want to go up the stairs
Oh,
now?
absolutely.
All right. You want to go first? That way my back is not on the footage the whole way up.
Okay, guys, come with me.
You might want to switch hands and hold the rail. One of the things we do suggest to people on here is that they do hold the rail both going up and down. And when they're coming back down, they have to watch their heads because it is a low hang there.
And shall I make a right or keep going?
You go straight ahead. That is the master or primary suite. And this is
guys.
where the Kern slept. Now, Jasmine, you feel the change in heat as we have come up here. This is a New Jersey house. It doesn't do a good job of keeping the house cool. Our other house is a Florida house, and it does a much better job. But this is a gorgeous room.
It's gorgeous.
And this furniture is magnificent.
Oh, yes.
It is a donation. I brought a tour in here one time. The young lady walked in this room and she went, "Oh, this is my grandfather's furniture." Her
For real.
grandparents had donated this furniture. And she did not know that.
What a beautiful surprise. Look at the clothes.
We have some beautiful clothing and we showcase a wedding dress. Ladies, look at the waistline. It is...
We were skinny.
Well, she was probably also young. But yes. But there's a way to be skinny.
Oh. Remember what we talked about?
And it's called a corset. There are stays in the corset. You put the corset on, and then someone behind you straps it up as tight as they can. Have you seen the opening scene from Gone with the Wind, ladies?
Yes.
That's a corset being put on Scarlett O'Hara, right? Initially, they were whalebone. That's what the stays were. Then they actually went to steel, which just makes my mind go crazy when I think about that. And then the very last ones were plastic. But they still did the same job of holding you in, giving you an hourglass shape. And you would go into your first corset as soon as you hit puberty. And that's why there were so many fainting couches, and that's why women had such tiny waistlines. They were also smaller than we were then. I am not known for having large hands.
Wow, look at that.
This is a woman's glove.
Wow.
So they were much tinier than we are. They did not get the vitamins that we do. Also, they didn't eat a lot of the preservatives we do, so that was in their favor.
No Burger King.
This upstairs was wallpapered, a lot of it. But it was in horrible shape, and you'll see what it looked like in a little bit. So one of our members went online and researched and found this pattern. You will see it is almost exactly the same as the pattern that was here when the Kerns lived here. And again, original floorboards.
They're stunning. Oh, look.
Gibson girls. That's what they're called. They're called Gibson girls. And there were frequent pictures like this in magazines and what have you. Here's another Gibson girl one, and those are very similar to Gibson girl ones. And that's a little crooked, isn't it? Needs a little tweak. Not much. There we go.
Can we ask what is the Gibson girls?
You know, I do not know for a fact. My mother always called them Gibson girls, and I'm no spring chicken, so she knew better than I did back then. Because my grandfather never wore regular tie shoes. He always wore high button shoes. Now, my other grandfather wore regular tie shoes, but my mother's father never did. Because that's what he grew up with, high button shoes. I have no idea where he found them, but he found them. All right, now here's a neat thing about this house. We are going to go from one room to the other to the other. Okay, we're going to step here, and you're going to notice something very different in this room. The floor is painted. As awful as that sounds, that's what they did. They painted floors. They took that beautiful heart of pine and then they covered it up with paint. Don't understand why you would do that, but it was very common. Many years ago, there was a business in Clermont called Bell Ceramics. And Bell Ceramics was down right where the new boat launch is. If you've been down by Waterfront Park and to where the new boat launch is, that's where Bell Ceramics was. And they, again, were people who moved here from New Jersey. The original Mrs. Bell moved down here, and then her son and daughter-in-law came with her. And a lot of you, if you're a Clermont native, You know Ma Bell.
Mm-hmm.
And Ma Bell
Oh, yeah.
was the daughter-in-law who moved down here. And one of the things you could get from Bell Ceramics was the ceramic pieces for a doll. And then you could go back and they had classes and you could paint your doll. We have two Bell dolls. This one was done by one of our members. The dress, Joanne has been deceased for almost 10 years now. She was in her 80s when she passed away. She made this dress out of her grandmother's wedding dress. Okay? But this was, Joanne Appel made that. And these are early replicas of early children's toys that people would carve. So here's a rattle. And this, I don't know, I guess teething rings or what have you. But you could read a little bit about them. And if you want to know what the original wallpaper looked like, there it is. And this is the piece of furniture that is directly connected to the Kern family. The Kern family had a thing that they did. If you were a family that worked very hard and were able to finally purchase your very own home for the first time, they would give you a piece of furniture. William Kern, the Kern's son, gave this to the Cole family. And when Zeddy Cole heard that we were refinishing the house, she gave us this piece so that we could have it back where its roots were. And so this is directly linked to them.
I noticed something. Look at the shoes. See them, guys?
High button shoes. One of her shoes seems to have disappeared under her dress. But yes. Oh no, these are actually tied, but they are high. Now in the other room in the closet, we do have a pair of brown high buttons. Again, all donations. When you think about it, absolutely amazing. Okay, we're going to go into the back bedroom that you cannot get to unless you go through another bedroom.
Oh.
And this we had set up as a nursery. And here comes the kitchen stove.
Remember, guys?
There's the kitchen stove. And this is how the heat gets in this room. This room is full of children's clothes and children's toys and houses the most magnificent dollhouse you will ever see. Yeah, be careful you don't trip, yes.
I'm not giving it justice.
There was
right now.
a couple, and their enterprise in retirement was they would build you a dollhouse that looked like your house. And this is the one that she took with her when she went into a nursing home. And we believe it was their home, the home that she and her husband lived in. After she passed away, no one in the nursing home wanted to take care of it. So guess what? They were throwing it away.
Again.
And so people saved it. And the lady who saved it gave it to her granddaughter, who loved it. But she outgrew it. Well, her sister was not so kind to this house. And she was playing a little rough with it. So the grandmother and the mother took it away from her and gave it to us. It's actually had battery operated lights. Those globe lights on the patio door, they actually worked.
Guys, you gotta come and experience this for yourself.
We do not keep that going, but because it doesn't fit the period of the house, but of our building. But that's what they actually did. And we really do have some really cool children's clothing. Socks and shorts and sweaters and shoes. And stockings, because even little girls wore stockings after a certain point in time.
Fascinating.
And our last room will be out this door and to our right.
See the details? Guys, I am fascinated. Truly.
Couple of things to see in this room. This is a bed warmer. You would go down to either the kitchen, because there was a wood burning stove as well as that kerosene stove that we have on display. There's a wood burning stove in there. Or you would go into the living room to the charcoal pot-bellied stove, and you would get hot coals, and you would put them inside. You would then come up here, and you would slide this between the covers. And then when you were ready to go to bed, you would pull it out, and you would get in a nice warm bed on a couple of cold nights that we had here in the winter. But up north, these were very popular, very popular. My mother's family is from Massachusetts, and they were poor. They couldn't afford even a bed warmer. My grandmother took stones and put them on the stove, got them hot, wrapped them in a towel, and put them at the bottom of the bed. And that was your bed warmer. Again, this is a donation. This gentleman asked that he be recognized for making the donation, so he is. The 3 pieces of bedroom furniture were from him. I bet a lot of kids don't know what that is. And probably some adults. You know what it is, don't you?
Go ahead.
It's called a chamber pot. Chamber is a fancy word for a room, right? A chamber pot. There's no bathroom in this house, ladies and gentlemen. What do you do during the day when you have to go to the bathroom? You go outside and you go to the outhouse. And we'll see an outhouse on another episode.
Oh, yes,
but in the middle of the night, you don't go outside and go. In the middle of the night, you relieve yourself in the chamber pot. And then in the morning, it has to be empty into the outhouse. That was not a chore anyone wanted, but it was a chore that someone had to have. If you want to see what the house looked like when it first was donated, walk up to this side of me for a second.
Over here, guys.
And turn around.
Turn around.
Now turn around.
Slowly.
And come in for a close-up.
Oh, wow. This is how you got the house.
This is what it looked like. And that's how we knew what the wallpaper looked like.
Oh, guys, look.
And that's what the floors look like. Look how beautiful the floors are in this room. And look what they look like in the closet.
You guys did a masterpiece. Look, there's still some paper
So
here.
that we kept this that way so people could see the change. And there is an attic up there. There is an attic. I've never been up there. I have no desire to go up there.
I'm with you.
And the one thing I haven't talked about, on both sides of the house, we have these beautiful extensions, these bays, like a bay window in a house. And they're lovely. But when this house was moved here, and this was moved here from downtown, when this house was moved here, both of the bays on both sides, both floors, were in horrible shape. And they had to be removed from the house. So this is new on both sides of the house, right? And one way you can tell, the floors are not as beautiful. Here's the old heart of pine floor going this way, and then going the other way, perpendicular, is the new. And it is not nearly as lovely. And it's nice wood. It's very nice wood, but it is not nearly as patinaed and just gorgeous. This is a desk that belonged to an actual school teacher in Clermont, Mrs. S.O. Ware, and a beloved first grade teacher at Clermont Elementary in the early 1900s.
Look at that, guys.
And this is the Kern's store. That's a picture of the actual store that they own that was on West Montrose Street. Oh, don't. Thank you. Drop the water bottle in there because that way. Yeah. And I just have to lock up this window and set the alarm.
Yeah, this one is the that one. I love the new one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, some of my friends will say that it's a difficult way of keeping me quiet, but this place is keeping me quiet.
I was waiting for
I have not been to this house,
They're here, right?
Yeah.
but this is fascinating.
All right, bye.
Okay, so there you go. This is the end of our tour of the Kern House. We're going to work our way back down the stairs, and you will see what I mean about how steep the stairs are and about watching your head when you go down.
Ready, guys? We appreciate Miss Donna. This has been amazing. Watch your head.
If you're a tall man,
We're gonna let her do it, and then we're gonna say goodbye right now. Because, no. I'm gonna turn off the camera. I'm gonna say goodbye for now. This is just me from Clermont City Guide, having an amazing time at the historic village in Clermont. Come and check it out, downtown Clermont. There will be more episodes to come. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful evening. Talk to you soon.